It's Saturday, October 11th, 2025. Welcome to the Weekend Swamp, and here's the latest happenings inside the federal machine. China announced the clampdown on all rare earth minerals to Western nations, and Trump responds by adding a 100% blanket tariff against all Chinese imports, 100% above the current tariffs in place. Also, President Trump looks to allocate funding from the Pentagon and disburse funds to troops to cover their pay during the shutdown. Also, Trump's bill of health was released, and he remains in exceptional health, according to the doctors. And once again, President Trump, he will be flying to Israel to help solidify the peace deal between Israel and Palestine. The Trump administration is set to cut 4,000 federal jobs in the next round of layoffs during the shutdown. The Education Department is under the gun for those layoffs. And lots more happened today, so we're just going to dive right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you do. I do the Swamp Monday through Friday in the evening hours. It usually posts around 10 o'clock p.m. That's usually when it's available, but this is a special edition because it's the weekend. I don't usually do the Swamp during the weekend, but I figure why not? I'm not up to a lot currently, and I came across more articles than I was really expecting to. Typically over the weekend, if I come across 5 or 6 articles, I'll just put them all in a short video and I'll just drop it. I'll just name it whatever I name it. But in this instance, I found, I think, enough to do at least a mini version of the Swamp, so I'm calling it Weekend Swamp. So I'm going to start from Fox News. This has to do with the manufacturing plant explosion that happened in Tennessee. I mentioned it yesterday. As many as 19 were feared dead, 19 missing at the least, but it looks like they've revised the number to 18 that are, I believe they're technically still considered missing, but they're pretty sure that they've all been, unfortunately, killed. So this is at the time, it was a live update 9 hours ago. So they give a press conference, and I think they take some Q&A with regard to it. So I'm going to watch some of it. Probably won't watch the whole thing because it's pretty long, but, actually, let me see. Some of it might just be involved in just waiting for it. Here, let me full screen it. So I don't know when they start talking because I haven't seen this yet. Oh, okay. So we're actually going to get... All right, so it's not going to be nearly as long as I expected. Okay. So yeah, I'll probably end up watching the whole thing. All right, here we go. Hopefully we're good on volume.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jason Pack, a special agent with the Department of Safety for the state of Tennessee, one of the public information officers here. Today we'll have Sheriff Davis and Sheriff Kraft deliver the latest updates, and we'll begin with Sheriff Davis. Sheriff Davis.
Let's hope for the best, man.
Good morning. One of the things that I want to start with and I want to reiterate, we are still dealing in a slow, methodical method. As we get into this, we find it even more devastating than what we thought initially. And that takes us into the fact of the slow process. We got communities here. Sheriff Kraft and I both on both sides have communities that have been truly devastated.
Oh man, he's choking up again.
Tremendous loss, a great loss.
He was choking up yesterday
too.
too.
I get emotional for that is anytime.
Yeah, because this happened in the middle of rural Tennessee. It's probably at least an hour away from either Nashville or Memphis. It's the locations in between those two cities, out in the middle of nowhere. The manufacturing facility isn't even inside a town. It's even that is out in rural Tennessee, just off some country road or a highway or whatever. So it's a very tight-knit area, needless to say, with it being in a rural area. So I can only imagine what he's going through. He probably knew every single one of these guys that passed away in this explosion. So, and I can only imagine the horrors that were left over, because the entire building exploded and there was literally nothing left. Only a foundation and just a part of a wall. That was it. And debris everywhere. There was nothing left of the building whatsoever. So I might if I come across it, I've got 3 articles after this. So at the very least, I will show the helicopter footage of what the building looked like after this press conference. So stay tuned for that.
To y'all, we always speak to the families.
That's the hardest part.
To be expected, they're very upset. There's a gauntlet of emotions there that's with those folks. And as always, we always like to, excuse me, ask for prayers and thoughts for those families. But as we move forward, we've had changes to this scene even this morning. And what I mean by that is we're finding some of the scene is naturally, because of where we're at, has more ordnance that's on it. We're finding things that's more volatile as time has went, or as the explosion has damaged or influenced those ordnance in some way, form, or fashion. Part of the process yesterday that was so slow, we always want to be very transparent with you, but we've gone to extremes as working with the FBI and being able to do things with the phones and identify what phones went off at the time of explosion, trying to figure out everything inside the scene.
Yeah, and by the way, the ATF, they're there. And the ATF, they sent what they said, their top of the top agents or professionals, investigators that they're sending onto the scene, because there's nothing left of this building. So they have to send just the absolute most talented people that they have in the ATF to try to piece together what happened. So they're there right now, too.
I can tell you that we've had more than probably 300 people that's done very delicate, very methodical things inside the scene. And at this time, we have recovered no survivors. Again, it's a great loss to our communities. Sheriff Kraft.
As Sheriff Davis said, like I said, this thing is changing constantly. Like I said, we're trying to do our best to take care of the families. AES has been great, sitting up with family support. FBI, ATF is also here, TBI, about any, I can't even think of all the departments right here.
I'm scared to name them all.
It's just been overwhelming with all the help that's come in to
there's a lot
to assist with this tragedy.
The whole cavalry's there.
Like I said, it's changing minute by minute. Like I said, we found out this morning some changes in the safety protocol and what we're having to deal with, and it's like we were already going slow, and now we're slowing things down even more, just for safety for everybody.
And that's exactly one of the questions that we had, or knowing coming into this conference. You see the ambulances here, you see the helicopter here, and that's here for the protection of these guys.
Yeah, just in case something else goes off.
For their safety. I mean, it's when we have the situation and we feel that it's that volatile, we want to take care of that and naturally get in front of anything. And matter of fact, it might not be a bad idea for a guy from ATF if. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's the ATF.
Good morning, Guy McCormick. I'm a supervisory special agent with ATF here in Nashville. Need me to come over a little more? Okay, sorry about that. Appreciate the sheriffs and all the support they've given us. What we're doing out here today is we have a number of our certified explosive specialists, our bomb techs, with support from not only the troopers, who have been fantastic, but a number of other law enforcement agencies, and like the sheriff said, too many to name, and I'd be doing them a disservice if I try to name them all, up there helping us right now. In a situation like this, what we find is that when these explosives are subject to the event that took place, which is heat, the explosion, being thrown, pressure, they can change and they can become different than how we know them to act. So right now, all of our bomb techs, our explosive specialists, are up there very thoroughly, methodically trying to make safe the area so that when our national response team comes in this afternoon, that area can be as safe as possible for every law enforcement.
Oh,
up there,
wow.
so we can go ahead and make.
So they haven't even started piecing together any evidence yet. They're just trying to secure the scene. Because, yeah, like you said, just the chemical composition of the explosives up there may have been changed in such a way that it could be volatile. Maybe, I mean, I don't know if it'd be ridiculous to assume that maybe if you stepped on something, it could trigger, maybe not an explosive per se, but just, yeah, I mean, I guess I could understand what he's saying. But, yeah, it sounds like that they haven't really started piecing together what happened just yet. They're just trying to just secure the scene enough to where they can start investigating.
Make sure we do that. Search and recovery efforts in the
right,
safest
yeah,
manner
okay,
as possible. Yeah. And that's what ATF and our partners are doing right now.
One of the things.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
know
so they're just trying to
you may have
stabilize
heard,
the scene
it's
right now.
Also on scene, TBI is on scene with their rapid DNA. They use that term, rapid DNA, and
yeah,
this
top of the
situation
list
is going to be, again,
within 2 weeks probably.
very hard because of the circumstances, because of the devastation. Can we get an idea of some DNA? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you can only use your own imagination. It's probably going to look similar to probably a high-speed airline crash. Maybe like the recent one that happened in India, Air India kind of comes to mind. It might even be more devastating than that. But yeah, like you might be able to find just pieces of tissue here and there that they're going to be able to collect for DNA and send for a rapid analysis, which I believe only takes about 2 weeks, maybe 3 at the very most, to have that DNA tested and have it come back to whoever that DNA belongs to. That way that they can officially determine who exactly passed away there. However, I mean, these were just people that were working, I'm assuming a first shift job, just a 40-hour-a-week job. And any of those who didn't come home that night, I mean, it's extremely unlikely that anybody in that building are still out there alive and haven't come forward, especially after hearing what happened. But I mean, what if somebody sabotaged something? What if somebody is behind the explosion who set something up and then took off and then the place exploded? That I'm sure that they haven't ruled that out as a possibility. So that's probably why they don't want to give a definitive official number of those who lost their lives until they get those DNA results back. Because what if there is 1 person, 2, 3 people who did something extremely nefarious and they took off and they're out there somewhere, but they assume that they've been killed in the explosion. So
here again, we want to make sure that we're taking the time to confirm. Anytime we do anything like that, we always want to make the confirmation for our families, for everybody that's involved and that's concerned. Patience, we're asking for patience.
Yeah, it's going to be a while probably.
Outpour of support, unimaginable. We have people, Sheriff and I have had people and other sheriffs from across the state,
probably across the country,
to
man,
reach out to us. We're very appreciative of that. Jason?
Okay,
like I don't really have anything to say.
Questions, Nicole?
Okay, here we go, Q&A.
Does that mean you presume that all 18 people missing are dead?
We're making the, now keep in mind there were,
I'll try to
I don't
adjust the
wanna
volume in the next
confuse you
question.
here.
It's going to be tough because I don't want to
There
blow
were
out your
some
eardrums.
folks that were on the scene that left. We talked about that, that were involved. Those are not including that. At this time, again, and I want to reiterate the comment that I made, I can tell you that more than 300 people have been through almost every square inch of this facility, and at this time we've recovered.
Yeah, that'd be my question. Is there anybody that could be a suspect?
Ma'am, I never want to give up hope. Hope's always in my heart. But I don't want to give false hope either. Well, again, we are doing the DNA, but we're going to have to slow walk that because of the scene, the way that the scene is, and as devastating as it is for any type of true confirmation.
Sheriff, does that mean you're no longer in the search?
at some point in time, we've got to rip off the Band-Aid. Can I tell you, and I alluded to it yesterday, it's not like working a accident. It's not like working a tornado. We're dealing with explosions. And I would say at this time we're dealing with remains.
Sheriff, are you still in the search and rescue phase, or are you now in recovery?
And we're moving to recovery, sir.
Sheriff, you mentioned that.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. She had one.
Thank you, sir. Can you say that you have informed family members, you have identified the remains of their loved ones, and if so, how many remains have you positively identified at this point?
As of currently,
Oh,
we're
man, I was
in the
worried about it.
process
Sorry.
Of the identification of the remains. I can tell you by other means that we can tell you who was in the building at the time of the explosion.
What can we tell people? There's 18 people missing as of last night. What can we say now?
I think the expectation of anyone that was inside that building and anybody that we can probably make the assumption, and I'm not even going to use the word assumption, I think that we can utilize, well, I have to use that word, forgive me, we can assume that they are deceased at this time.
And you said that you saw things that were more volatile. What exactly do you mean?
Well, there's we're dealing with
Explosions.
the type of facility that
Explosives.
we're talking about, and I'll come back to you in just a moment.
It's an ammunitions factory.
The type of facility, the ordinance, the type of facility that this is, the things that they deal with, how they make it. It's more explosive devices, and when we have explosive devices of that we don't know their gas makeup that's changed, the compound makeup has changed.
Right.
I'm not a chemist. I don't want to get into even try to get over into all of that. But when these professional folks tell me that we have a very volatile scene and that we're going to have to be extremely slow and methodical, and that's what we're going to do. So, yes, ma'am. Hold on, sir.
Sheriff, you said the situation is developing, so is it public safe? Can we anticipate more detonations possibly?
We can possibly
doubtful, but
we
possible.
are going to possibly have some of those that we're going to have to dispose of in some way, form, or fashion. We have got it set up.
Man,
and
hazardous
arranged to where
materials.
We're going to have a notice that's going to come out to you guys, as well as trying to put it out to the community if that does take place or when that takes place, and we will try to answer that.
Sheriff, have you ruled out foul play?
Foul
Again,
play.
we're in an investigative type situation.
That would have been my question.
And I can I say we're going to rule out foul play? We can't answer that. That might be days or weeks or months before we can do that. And it's like I've said every time before, we have one shot at this, and we're going to take our time to make sure that we do the very best for our people and those victims involved. Hang on just a second. Somebody here. Yes, sir.
Question for ATF. With your preliminary assessment, is there any cause that you have identified so far?
So I really can't answer that question right now. Like I said, our national response team, who are really the worldwide experts in all this, who are coming from all over the country, will be here this afternoon. They will begin their long, thorough investigation to determine the cause.
Yeah, those
and
are the
origin of
guys
this
that I was
explosion.
alluding to.
That type of information will probably get out to you guys in the next days and weeks to come as they do their investigation and develop that.
All right, thank you, everybody.
She had
One more
last
question.
Do you feel like there's any risk to anyone outside this facility at this point?
I do not.
Thanks, everybody. We'll update you as to when the next press conference is. We will try to make the ATF folks available, the experts. So if you have those technical questions, we'll be able to get those for you. The Humphreys County Emergency Management Agency Facebook page is the official page of notification. So if you're not following that, I would encourage you to do that. Otherwise, we'll be back when we have some more things to share. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, that's the latest. And all right, let me just readjust the volume to make sure. Yeah, it looked like one of the, I don't know if it was on the left side or the right side. I'm half deaf. Only my right ear works. My left ear completely doesn't work. But judging by my software, it showed that only one side the sound was coming through. Not my end. That's on Fox News' end. So I'm not sure why it came out that way. Maybe it was just set up in mono. Not totally for sure, but anyway, I wouldn't know. I'm just making that point just to let you know that it's not my end. So any videos I play from this point forward, hopefully it'll be like at its normal level. Both earphones working, both speakers, whatever. So anyway, from Fox News, elite team has been deployed. ATF sends in top experts to investigate Tennessee plant explosion as 18 are still missing. They were saying 19 pretty much all day yesterday, and it was like first thing this morning they started saying 18 and not 19. So I'm not sure why. I don't know if like maybe somebody possibly may have called in sick that day or something. I don't know. But anyway, officials say that no survivors have been found at Tennessee manufacturing plant explosion site as ATF deploys the elite team. Rescuers waited hours to search Accurate Energetic Systems facility due to burning debris and secondary explosion risks. So it looks like the press conference from last night. So we just watched the latest one, so I don't really see a need in watching that one. So Tennessee authorities announced Saturday that no survivors have been found after a massive explosion at a rural manufacturing plant Friday after more than 300 investigators combed through the blast site. The blast happened at Accurate Energetic Systems near Bucksnort, about 50 miles west of Nashville, just before 8 a.m. on Friday. Since then, more than 300 people conducted a very delicate, very methodical search of the site, Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis said at a news conference today. Quote, I can tell you that more than 300 people have been through almost every square inch of this facility, and at this time, we've recovered no survivors, Davis said, at times growing emotional. So, yeah, so here's an image of it. That's the building, and if you see this little black, rectangular object, that is the only part of the building that is still standing. It's only just one side of a wall. And obviously, there's no roof, there's no walls, there's really, doesn't look like really any piled up rubble or anything. It looks like it's just completely been flattened. It's just absolutely crazy. So, like, there's a little bit of what's probably part of the roof, maybe the steel I-beams or whatever, and a vehicle right there. So debris covering the ground of vehicles after a powerful blast ripped through a military explosives manufacturing plant. Let's see. Officials initially said Friday there were several deaths without specifying the number, and that at least 18 were missing. Davis corrected the number to 16 by Saturday evening, noting authorities were able to locate the other two individuals and determine that they were not on this site. So, like I said, perhaps maybe they called in sick, maybe they were on PTO or something. Maybe just their full staff consisted of 18 people. And yeah, so that's obviously very good news that at least two were not in the building at the time. Furthermore, Davis referred to the 16 still missing as victims. I can tell you at this time we have notified all 16 families of those people, Davis said. And at Saturday's news conference, Davis also said Tennessee Bureau of Investigations was on the scene with rapid DNA testing to identify the remains of the victims. So ATF announced Saturday that they have an elite team to help investigate the blast site. I think they said they're going to start combing through the area tomorrow, I think. But yeah, man, like just little pieces. Could you imagine the time it's going to take to piece all of this together? I mean, it's going to take absolutely forever. So I can only imagine the weeks and weeks it's going to take. But what's really amazing, like how they're able to piece together, like I brought up earlier, plane crashes, how they can piece together everything and they can pretty much roll the clock backwards and get most of the time an exact determination as to what happened. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're able to do that. And they'll probably put together a simulation where it'll show like an animation of the building, like where the exact point of explosion that occurred in the building. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be doing that. I'm sure there's going to be a full investigation. Probably won't get to the final report maybe for another year or two, I would imagine. But yeah, anyway, it's going to be a very meticulous process. So all of our bomb techs, explosive specialists are up there very thoroughly, methodically trying to make safe the area so that when our national response team comes in this afternoon, the area can be as safe as possible for every law enforcement entity up there. And let's see. I did find out it was building 602 that he worked in, and he was on the missing list. Last I heard from him, he dropped his daughter off with me and was headed to work. Sounds like one of the victim's relatives, his mother. Let's see. The not knowing, I don't want to hear bad news, but I almost feel better if I knew. Let's see. Accurate Energetic Systems released a statement about the explosion on its website. So this is on the company website. At approximately 7:45 a.m., there was a tragic accident at our facility. Accurate Energetic Systems wrote, emergency response teams and investigative agencies remain on scene and the situation is under active investigation. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families, coworkers, and community members affected by this incident. We extend our gratitude to all first responders who continue to work tirelessly under difficult conditions. We will provide updates as more verified information becomes available. And so, yeah, somebody put that on a concrete barrier. And that's probably going to be it. You expected the investigation would span at least days before authorities would know what could have caused the explosion that happened just before 8 a.m. It might even be weeks. It could even potentially be months, just based on how blown to pieces the entire building was. I mean, what was the equivalent? Like, how many? You know how they measure nuclear explosions? Obviously, it's not big enough to be considered that big, but like in terms of there's kilotons. It's clearly not anything near probably kiloton range, but makes me curious, like what the explosive equivalency in TNT might end up turning out to be, because the whole building's just not there anymore. But it looked like the surrounding tree line didn't really look like it was affected. So, all right. But anyway, so let me jump over here to YouTube and see if I can find that video once more. I played it yesterday. So let me see. Tennessee explosion. Let me just grab the footage. Yeah, there's some helicopter footage. I don't want to get like a full... Yeah, here we go. Raw video.
A munitions plant. You can see I-40 off to the left on our screen. We're currently...
Yeah, that's when it's all still on fire. This is still in the morning hours of from yesterday.
From the location, we noticed shortly after takeoff from John Toon a large plume of smoke. I'll pan up and show you that. This is reportedly at the Accurate Energetic.
Yep, there you go. Looks like the side of a building. Looks like raised terrain here. You see how the road comes around like this? I'm assuming this might be like where, I don't know, maybe a semi-truck trailer may pull up and maybe load up the supplies. I mean, I see there's what looks like a dumpster, but it also looks like it's the size of a semi-trailer. You know, one of those like open containers that they could put stuff in, materials or whatever. So I'm guessing that's probably what this is here. But this looks like the building itself, like the foundation. You can see, like, it looks like maybe there's a wall right here. It's like a little part of a wall, possibly here too. And looks like the road goes around like a horseshoe and curves around this way. So that might have been an entrance right here. But like there's a debris field going out this way, so maybe the blast extended out in that direction. But I mean, there's pieces everywhere. I mean, it's all over the place.
Plant near the Hickman-Humphreys County line. It has been.
Yeah, so that's looks like where the primary building was, if I were to take a guess.
Confirmed by first responders.
There's that truck right there.
And we can confirm it.
I mean, debris is like way over here. It's way over here, like up in the tree line. I'm sure there's going to be pieces like well into the tree line probably.
Here, just based on this large plume of smoke, as we get closer to the scene, we'll show you.
I mean, yeah, I mean, look at this. Like looks like just craters. I mean, they're not craters, but it's obviously debris that just impacted on the ground and just left this star-shaped imprints on the ground just all over the place. I don't know if it kind of looks like ash, maybe. Man, just absolutely crazy. Yeah, that's definitely where the building was. So I'm not sure if maybe it was just like corrugated, maybe made of like corrugated metal or something. Maybe that's what. Maybe it was like a warehouse type of facility, and that might be why there's just absolutely nothing left. That was kind of my guess. That like a warehouse, or like where like a lumber warehouse or something like that. I was going to say something similar to Home Depot. You know how Home Depots are constructed, but no, not like that. I think it would be even less construction than that. Sounds like it might be just like a corrugated metal facility, like made of corrugated metal for the most part. That's just a wild guess.
This is going to be in the
matter of fact. I actually, you know what I can do? Let me actually bring up satellite view. I didn't think to do this yesterday, so I'm going to pull up a satellite view and see what the building looked like before it exploded. Because I have it right here on Google Maps. I didn't even think about doing this yesterday. So let's take a look at this. So I'm going to open up satellite. So this is where the explosion happened. Okay, so here we go. So that's what it looked like before. And yeah, so it looks like I'm right. That where it comes around and looks like, I don't know if that's the exact same dumpster that's right here. But obviously the parking lot's here. So right here, the parking lot. And so this like road that kind of comes around like that would be right here. But yeah, man, look at this, like freaking nothing left. Just absolutely crazy. So let me see if I can, I don't think I know there's a way to do 3D, but I have this open in a private window. So I don't know why it usually says 3D down here next to the little guy, but not seeing that. Yeah, for some reason. Maybe I just got to sign in or whatever. Let me try this. Does it actually? No, it doesn't. Damn it. I was hoping that it would have shown like a street view. Oh yeah, I'd say the closest it gets to street view is way over here. But dude, there's other buildings. I mean, I'm not familiar with what this might be. Is this also part of that same company? I'm not sure. Probably not. Might be just a different small business. What is this? Like, doesn't really look like a house, but anyway. So, just getting an idea as to what just the surrounding area looks like. But yeah, that's going to be it. Damn, man, I wish I could put this on 3D. All right. Anyway, so that's it. That's what it looked like, and that's what's left of it right now.
Bucksnort only Tennessee area.
So yeah, it was a relatively small building, maybe with 19 employees there. Not a very large facility, fairly small. I mean, maybe 5,000 square feet, maybe 6,000 square feet, just based on just the size of the vehicles that were near the building. You know, like there's a truck there, probably maybe another vehicle over here. That definitely looks like a vehicle there. So I don't know. What would you guess? Like maybe 6,000 square feet. Give or take. Very small parking lot. So, yep. Anyway, it's a terrible tragedy. I will link this if you want to check it out. I do have just a couple more. I'm not going to go through them because I just went through those, you know, the Q&A and also that article. This one here, that'll be linked. But this is from CNN breaking news. No survivors were found after a massive blast at a Tennessee explosive plant left 18 people missing. So that'll be linked. Looks like they did. Yeah, residents attend a vigil honoring the victims of a blast at an explosives plant, Accurate Energetic Systems, in Centerville, Tennessee on Friday. And yeah, it looks like they've got fairly extensive article. Yeah, see, look, they have the exact same thing that I had. Yeah, identical. So yeah, they thought to do that as well, and then they put it side by side with what's left of it. But anyway, so yeah, so this will be linked if you want to check that out. And then finally, breaking news. Officials believe none of the 18 people still unaccounted for survived an explosion yesterday at a Tennessee facility. You want a different mainstream news outlet, NBC News. So yeah, that'll be down below too if you want to check that out. So anyway, I'm going to move on to the political part, the swamp part of the video. So this is from Congressman Russell Fry. Hakeem Jeffries just got wrecked on CNBC. You don't get to shut down the government because you don't like the outcome of an election. That's not leadership. That's a tantrum.
Government open and then going into the normal appropriations.
It's also ideological evil.
The Republicans were put in a position where they were able to pass the big, beautiful bill, or you call it the big, ugly bill, to then say, we don't like any of that, so we're going to shut down the government until you take back all the things that you duly passed through legislation.
Oh my God, dude, that's so hilarious how he worded it that way. So you didn't like with what they passed in the bill, so you're just going to demand the government shut down, basically throw a big temper tantrum. Could you imagine if that's what the other party did every single time that they passed a bill and it didn't have each and every single motherfucking thing that you want in that bill? If there's only one thing in there that you don't like, you're just going to throw a big temper tantrum, shut down the damn government, and insist you get what you insist you get your way regardless. I mean, imagine that. Like, imagine the gridlock. Imagine, like, the lack of anything that would ever get done in Congress if they were to do that. It is absolutely ridiculous, man. And he makes a really good point by pointing that out. That is precisely what they did. And look, you don't always get what you want. That's why there's compromise. That's why, we've got different political parties. Sometimes you get what you want, other times you don't get what you want. You don't just cross your arms and shut down the whole damn government just because you didn't get your way last time.
Republicans had tried to do that to the Inflation Reduction Act or the any of the acts that
Republicans didn't do that.
And that administration have passed. If they said, we're going to shut down the government because we don't like any of those things you did, we're going to not pay our military, we're going to, not allow the government to reopen until you do what we want.
Oh my God, dude. Even the mainstream media, even the left-wing mainstream media is turning on the Democrats at this point. Even they're getting pissed off because CNBC's like, he ain't the first person to use this type of language against the Democrats when they've got them up there. They did the same with Chuck Schumer, same with Bernie Sanders, and then a couple others. I think AOC was interviewed on, I think it was on CNN. I've been showing these videos for the last few days if you want to go back and look, especially Wednesday through Friday on my Swamp episodes, where they're on mainstream news and they're being heavily ridiculed by the mainstream media with regard to shutting down the government because it is a ridiculous-ass thing to shut the government down over because they want the ACA tax credits extended, which came out during COVID to try to keep costs for insurance down because a lot of people were furloughed. There was a lot of shit going on during the COVID era. And now that COVID's over, it's being allowed to expire because COVID is over. And that is why the Democrats shut down the government. And then plus there's the actual real reason because they want to give healthcare to illegal immigrants because they want to virtue signal and posture and please their far left radical base.
An election where the American people put Democrats in power, you'd be going crazy. You'd be going crazy about using a shutdown of the government with a continuing,
of course they will.
On a continuing resolution to get what you want just because you don't like what the Republicans did. It's not how it works. It's bad. It's bad precedent, and it's just
very
clear.
bad.
And you're talking about the House. You've already passed this. The
Senate
they already did. Is who we're talking about, and they have a bill which will reopen the government right now with 5 more Democrats.
What is bad precedent is the Republican refusal to engage in bipartisan negotiations. What is bad precedent is the Republicans.
Dude, that's what the end of November is for. This bill was only supposed to be like a 6-week or 8-week bill just to carry the government just a couple of months until the next fiscal year bill, spending bill or whatever. That's how I understand it. Apparently, like the big bill that they're supposed to be voting on for the next fiscal year is coming up on like November 30th. And that this bill was basically just a temporary Band-Aid kind of funding bill that they were just passing. Republicans didn't add anything to the bill. Apparently, it's has the exact same language in the bill over like the last 5 years, this CR bill. And that's why they say that we voted on the same CR bill 12 times, 13 different times. All through the Biden administration, we voted on the exact same bill time after time because they didn't change any language in it. The Republicans didn't change anything in it. It's the Democrats who want to throw in $1.5 trillion worth of spending so they can start dumping money back into public broadcasting and back into those USAID programs that they shut down and doing all that woke bullshit around the world, throwing $15 million at transgender this and $25 million at a like gay Sesame Street in Iraq or whatever the fuck that was. That's what they want. And that's why they're shutting down the government because they're not getting what they want.
Embarking on a my way or the highway approach.
That's what
you're
doing.
From the very beginning of this Congress. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Joe, you're exactly right.
I am so sick of that bullshit talking point, dude. That is such fucking ridiculous, low IQ, brain dead fucking framing that they keep saying that. They're saying that all over X, all over social media, and they're saying it all over the mainstream news that, well, the Republicans, they control the House, they control the Senate, they have the Oval Office right now, and they even have the Supreme Court if you want to go that far. So the Republicans are in control of everything. So it's them who shut down the government. No, it's not, dude. They need 5 votes from the Senate in order to pass a spending bill because 60 senator votes are needed in order to pass any spending bill in the government. They need 60 votes, and Republicans don't have 60 senators in the Senate. So they need 5 Democrats to vote yes on this bill, and if they don't, then it's the Democrats who shut down the government, bozo, which he knows. Everybody knows it, but unfortunately, Democrats have a lot of naive voters, a lot of people who either they just outright don't pay attention or they're just extremely gullible and they just literally believe everything that's told to them. And that's what this asshole is counting on. For somebody who's out there who votes blue no matter who to hear what he's saying. Yeah, the Republicans do control everything. So yeah, they did shut down the government.
So if the government shuts down, they've made the decision to shut the government down. And they can reopen it right now.
Oh, but they didn't. Dude, you better correct this asshole.
With a rule change in the Senate. But I just explained it.
No, you didn't.
The reality is they want to keep the government closed. Cruelty from the very beginning.
I bet if they showed this anchor, he's probably shaking his head. He's like, dude, this is not how you save your party. This is not how you fix things. This is only going to make it worse, man, because you are outright lying to your constituents. It is a bold-faced lie. Just because Republicans have the control in the House makes no fucking difference where we're at. This has nothing to do with the House of Representatives at this point. It's all in the Senate. It has nothing to do with Trump either. Nothing at all. It's locked up in the Senate because 5 Democrat senators refused to vote yes on the spending bill. Ergo, the government shuts down. It is really that simple.
This administration has been the point. And the responsible thing to do is to sit down and negotiate a bipartisan path forward to address a very real healthcare crisis that's upon us right now. Open enrollment.
You already did that over the summer, dude. You already did it, and it was passed on July 4th. It was the big, beautiful bill. That was all negotiated over the summertime. And in part of those negotiations, the ACA tax credits were going to be allowed to expire. That was all in the negotiations over the spring and into the early summer. They've already been over all that shit, dude. And it ended up getting cut as the bill said it was going to because it got passed by the House, the Senate, and it was signed into law. And now they're just trying to go back on what the negotiations was. And they're like, well, I know we didn't get what we wanted then, but we still want it anyway. And we're just going to, lock everything down until we finally get what we want. And that's not how you go about doing shit.
Can you do that? Can you do those negotiations while the government is reopened? I think that's the offer that's been on the table.
Yeah, because there's another vote on spending coming up at the end of November, as far as I understand.
I did hear the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, talking about how, look, he passed a clean CR. There's not really much for him to politic in because there's nothing to take out.
There's nothing there, dude. Republicans didn't put anything in there. They didn't do anything. It's just a copy-paste bill. They've been passing the same identical exact same bill for years. There's nothing that the Republicans added. There's like Mike Johnson said on day one. He said, we're flabbergasted. We have nothing that we can negotiate with. There's nothing we put in. There's nothing we want. The only thing we want is what we've been voting on for the last 5 years, this clean CR bill. So when Democrats are using this language about how, well, they need to come to the negotiating table and they need to make a deal, it's basically saying that, well, if we're not going to get every single thing we want, we, the Democrats, well, then we're going to get at least some of the things that we want, even though this was already negotiated back in the springtime. It was already negotiated. All this shit was.
Republican pork that they pushed into this to take out of it to offer as a way of getting around this. Can you reopen the government and have these conversations?
No.
If there's a willing party on the other side, which it sounds like there is if you talk to some of the Republicans who see this as an issue in their district as well.
Well, look, and Republicans have been saying that there's this big No Kings protest that's happening in Washington. I believe it's on the 18th. I might be off by a couple of days, but it's coming up next week. And it's some big protest in Washington, D.C., big anti-Trump, anti-Republican protest. And they're going to go down there and march and raise hell. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out, because you know how the left gets whenever they organize by the masses. Usually shit gets really fucking rowdy, really fucking violent. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But according to the Republicans, they believe that Democrats are keeping the government shut down till after that protest. And once the protest is over, then they're going to go ahead and reopen the government and they'll sign on because they just want to, they want to posture and please the far left radical base, which these far left radicals are the ones who are organizing this big No Kings protest. Those aren't, the No Kings protest isn't just your everyday classical liberal card carrying Democrats. It's the far leftists. It's the socialists and the communist faction of the Democratic Party, which unfortunately is getting just bigger and bigger in the Democrat Party. They're the ones that really seem to control it anyway. So it's basically just a communist party at this point.
Well, certainly Marjorie Taylor Greene has made clear that it's a very real issue. It's an issue that Republicans have ignored throughout this year, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed right now. Mike Johnson has made the representation, including at that White House meeting that we had last week, after Chuck Schumer and I reached out to demand that we have the conversation. Unfortunately, it took place literally a day before the government shut down because Republicans have refused to engage in bipartisan negotiations.
No, the problem that they have right now, Democrats, is that the Affordable Care Act is just another way of saying Obamacare. It's the exact same thing. Democrats put their name all over it. Obama put his name all over it, and it was a disaster almost from the day that it was passed. They said you get to keep your doctor. Turned out that was a complete lie. It's going to be way more affordable than private health care. That turned out to be a big lie. It might be affordable to people who are on government assistance, people who are consuming resources from the government. It might be helpful for them, but for everybody else, extremely expensive. The only time that I applied for Obamacare, and I didn't apply for it because I needed it, I was just curious because they sent me an email like 7-8 years ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to apply for it and just see what rate it's going to give me. So I applied for it using the same type of insurance that I had like back in the 2000s, where it was $250 for an inpatient visit, $100 for an emergency room visit, $50 for media care, $35 for a specialist, $20 for PCP. That's it. No deductibles or anything like that, or just the copays. And they quoted me, and this was like 2015-ish, for Obamacare on that tier, which of course is the platinum tier. It was like $1,400 a month. And I was only in my mid-30s with no pre-existing conditions at the time. And they were going to charge me that much. And that was like 10 years ago, really. It was somewhere like 8, maybe 10 years ago. It was a long time ago when I applied for it. So I can only imagine how much it costs today. And it's only been getting more and more expensive because the only solution Democrats have is just throw more money at it. Just raise taxes, throw more money at it. That's going to fix the problem. So now it's gotten to the point where it is unbelievably unaffordable because it's only been getting higher and higher and higher year after year. They didn't fix it during the Biden administration. They didn't fix it then. They didn't fix it during the tail end of the Obama administration. They didn't. It just kept getting worse and worse. So the Democrats have to eat this across the board, but they're just trying to push all of the excuses and try to push all the blame over onto the Republicans because, well, they're not going to extend the ACA tax credits, which are COVID tax credits, and they're saying that it's the Republicans' fault that insurance is going to double. No, it's been the Democrats' fault the entire time. And I kind of wish that Republicans would use that language a little more often to remind the American people what the Affordable Care Act is, who started it, when it started, and why it keeps getting more expensive. Instead, they just say, no, it's the Democrats who are shutting down the government. We need 5 votes from the Democrats, and they're not willing to vote yes on the bill, so it's closed, which is true. And there could very well be some Republicans out there that are saying exactly what I want them to be saying. There's a lot of politicians out there, and I can't follow every single one of them. But anyway, so yeah, that happened. Pretty satisfying to hear that from CNBC, that they're actually pushing back against them because it is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they've had the government shut down for, let's see, so far it is, as of right now, 10 days, 22 hours, 52 minutes, and 42 seconds. That's the exact amount of time that the government's been shut down as of this recording, which is 10:52 p.m. on Saturday, October 11th, 2025. All right, so I've got this from USCIS. The Democrats' government shutdown will not impede on our crackdown on immigration fraud. We will continue to defend our homeland 24/7. This is on Fox Business.
I was going in looking for marriage fraud, and we found fraud within the optional practical training program, which is part of the student visa process. At the end of the student visa process after someone's graduated. We also found a couple cases where people were here on H-1Bs claiming that they were some high-skilled worker and they were acting as a caregiver. Not saying that's not important work. It certainly is, but it's not the basis for an H-1B.
Not H-1B level, yep.
Pervasive here. It's not just the aliens, it's the attorneys, it's those preparing the applications and preparing supporting documentation, and everyone has to be held accountable for that.
Well, look, and just yesterday, I showed an image of a New York State driver's license that was issued to an illegal immigrant who received a commercial driver's license, a CDL, and this illegal immigrant refused to give his name. And on the ID, I swear to you, on the ID, it said no name given. That's on his government-issued commercial driver's license from the state of New York. And I believe it was Homeland Security. May be wrong on that, but I believe it was the Department of Homeland Security that posted that information and the image. But it was on my episode last night. If you want to check that out, absolutely fucking insane, man. United States Trade Representative, China is seeking to acquire domination of global supply chains, ordering the entire world to submit for approval to the Chinese Communist Party-controlled government any export containing rare earths processed or mined in China. President Trump is responding forcefully and appropriately to safeguard America's economic and national security. So this whole thing that happened last week, China issued letters to basically every Western country saying that they're going to clamp down on the amount of rare earth minerals that they are exporting out of China, and they're essentially going to bottleneck it. They're not price fixing, but goods fixing, or like the quantity of what they're releasing. They're going to clamp down on how much they are, and I don't know if they're doing that to maybe artificially boost the value of these rare earth minerals, because if you, let's say, if you cut the amount that you're exporting every year, if you cut that amount in half, I would only expect the value of it to double, because now there's only half the amount going out into the world because they're holding back. Like think of like the De Beers, Vandy Cap, like those diamond guys like that own like the Kensington mine in South Africa. When they were doing that, they would mine tons of diamonds, but they wouldn't release all of them out into the market. Instead, they just hoarded all of the diamonds in their company and just put them in vaults in basements somewhere. And that way they could keep the supply low, which would drive up the value of diamonds. Because if they just released every diamond that they mined on an annual basis, diamonds wouldn't be worth much. So they did it to artificially keep it extremely valuable, when diamonds, we come to find out diamonds are actually really common. They're just not commonly found everywhere. They're just, whenever you find a diamond mine, apparently you find a shitload of diamonds in said mines. But anyway, I don't know if that's China's aim. It sounds like it is. It sounds like they might be just trying to drive up the value of these minerals. But it could also just be a simple power grab. They just want to just not cut off the world from these rare earth minerals, but they're going to heavily restrict our access to these rare earth minerals. Fortunately, President Trump is the president right now, and he's still got a few years ahead of him. He's already opened up, like, basically any kind of rare earth mineral that we can find in the United States. He says, drill, baby, drill, mine for it, dig it up, let's process it, let's manufacture it, let's get the whole thing going, because we don't need to be dependent on other countries, especially when it comes to rare earth minerals. But anyway, here, I'll go ahead and play this.
What the Chinese have done, in short, is in the past couple of days, they've ordered the entire world that they have to submit for approval and permission by the Chinese government export any kinds of materials that include rare earths that have been touched, processed, mined by China. So this could include cars, it could include microwaves that have chips, it can include defense materials. So China has taken this action, which is quite extreme. And so President Trump obviously wants to safeguard U.S. national and economic security. And so we have to take our own countervailing action.
Yep, the way it sounds like China's not going to relent. It sounds like China is just going to stick to it, which may significantly lower, like he said, it could be in anything. It could be in microwaves. It could be in freaking, I don't know, toasters, computers, whatever it might be. And yeah, it's a huge move and a very sudden move, and nobody saw it coming. This is why you don't rely on a communist country. It's why you don't trust a communist country, especially one who's been saying for decades at this point that they want to be the global leader, they want the #1 economy, and they're going to stop at nothing to make sure that happens. And at least as far as they want, sooner rather than later. So it just absolutely just baffles me that our government, politicians, even our big companies our big corporate bigwigs, they just didn't give a shit. They're like, I don't care. They've got cheap labor, so I'm just going to do business with China. As they get more and more powerful, well, if China leads the world, you can expect this to be just absolute nightmarish. That China is going to have just such a chokehold on the entire planet, and the rest of us are just going to live in like what a dystopic nightmare, I would imagine. It's like the very small few Chinese elitists in the CCP, whereas 99.9999% of the rest of the population are dirt fucking poor. That wouldn't surprise me. But all right, anyway, so I got that one done. So this one, it's from the same United States Trade Representative profile, U.S. Trade Rep. China is attempting to use economic coercion to influence American politics. The United States is working with other Asian nations to secure new market access for American exporters, protecting our supply chains and advancing the interests of the American people. Now, there could be a lot of these rare earth minerals that exist in Africa, it could be in Latin America, but the problem is China's already purchased a lot of that land, or at the very least, they're leasing that land across the African continent and in Latin America too. So when it comes to speculating for rare earth minerals or looking to other countries where they could be found, China may have already beat them to it because China's been doing this shit for like 15 or 20 years. They've been speculating all over the world, and they're trying to buy up this land or at least lease it for as cheap as they possibly can, and they've been highly successful in doing so. So hopefully, with regard to all these rare earth minerals, hopefully we've got plenty in Alaska or in the lower 48, or maybe if Canada's willing to do some business with them, which I'm sure they will, especially because this doesn't just affect the United States. With China, what China's doing is going to affect everybody, every single European country, and also it's going to affect Australia. It's going to affect every single country out there, all of them, because China is going to bottleneck all of these rare earth minerals. So I think it would behoove Canada to allow speculation for rare earth minerals to occur in their country. Plus, this could be the perfect opportunity that Canada has been so desperate for, because COVID really wrecked Canada's economy. Plus, Canada's gotten like so fucking woke in the last like 8 years or so. It's just unbelievable with all the social welfare programs and also a lot of the immigration that they've been allowing into Canada. The average house in Canada, you think it's bad in the United States. The average house in the United States is almost $400,000. In Canada, it's $750,000 for the average priced home in Canada. And they ain't making that much more than we are per capita or per capita or whatever. Like they make relatively about the same as we do, if not maybe just barely a little more, like $45,000-$50,000 a year per person on average. So yeah, times are pretty fucking tough in Canada. So if China's going to cut off the world with rare earth minerals, I'm sure Canada has quite a lot up there. Canada is like what, by square mileage, isn't Canada the second largest country on the planet? So this might actually be the one thing that really could save the Canadian economy. I just don't know how long it would take to speculate, to mine for it and get it refined and produced and ready for manufacturing. This could also drive a lot, like if that were to happen in the US and Canada and we start producing our own rare earth minerals, that could in and of itself force a ton of American manufacturing back into the United States because we got the rare earth minerals here. China's not letting us have it anymore. We've got it over here. So in the long run, after a couple of few years, China could be doing us an enormous fucking favor by doing this.
Sure. So one of the things that we're doing, which is so important, is we're opening foreign market access in additional countries. For example, Vietnam has already lowered its tariffs on soybeans. Cambodia has lowered its tariffs on soybeans. We're in talks with several other Asian nations to do that. We're also talking within the White House about domestic uses for soybeans. The challenge is when China takes actions like this, it uses economic coercion to try to influence American politics. Everyone's just trying to make a living here. Our farmers are the victims of Chinese economic coercion, and it's unfortunate, right? And we're trying to find a way through this.
Well, it's also at the expense of the Chinese people, the everyday Chinese people too, because they're heavily reliant on soybean and corn. Apparently, China's making a move with Brazil with regard to soybeans, so it sounds like that China's going to move elsewhere, and that might be what he was alluding to with regard to the coercion against American farmers, because it looks like they're going to be getting soybeans elsewhere. So if the government hadn't shut down, would China have made this move right now? I guess it's probably impossible to say. We don't really know for sure. I know that the global economy has taken a hit. Not sure about the European or the Far East markets, but the Dow Jones index fell, the S&P fell on Friday. Even the cryptocurrency market fell by $400 billion in just minutes back around 5 o'clock p.m. last night. I was watching it in real time. It looked like it was full on collapsing, and it recovered a little bit. And then I checked it a couple hours ago, and it looks like it fell back to where it was when it collapsed yesterday. So it's still on the downward trend. So if you have any crypto holdings and you haven't checked it yet, you might want to take a shot or two before you open it up, because it fell a lot. It fell by like, I don't know. Well, at least for Bitcoin and for Ethereum, it fell like somewhere between like 10, maybe 18%. I think Bitcoin fell like 10 or 11%, and Ethereum fell like 15, 18%. But a lot of those altcoins and meme coins and shit coins, like all of those, they fell by 20, 30+%. They fell by a lot. So, all right. So anyway, we got done with that one. So I'm going to move on to the next topic. So this is from RNC Research. Democrat Virginia House Speaker Don Scott says Jay Jones, who fantasized about murdering a political rival, shouldn't drop out. Quote, we would be conceding. That's not going to happen. So basically what the Democrats are saying is it doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what you do. If you've got the letter D next to your name, you better run come hell or high water. I don't care what you did, what's in your past. I don't care even if you'd full on threatened to murder your political opponent. We want you to run anyway because it's better us than them. So let's check this out. CNN.
Though, that was asked, and it is an important one to a lot of people, is the issue of Jay Jones. Do you think that he should end his candidacy?
No.
Look, Republicans want us to concede. Virginia law would make it, if he dropped out, then we would be conceding the election to Jason Murray.
That would be a no.
We got to continue the election. The voters have already begun voting and casting their ballots. What we need to be continuing to focus on is that these two ladies last night, it's not about them. I mean, we have a historic election here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the first time ever that a woman will become governor of Virginia. The two women had the spotlight last night, and all we want to do is talk about.
Dude, who the fuck cares, man? This identity politic bullshit. Nobody fucking cares anymore, except the radical fucking leftists, man. Nobody gives a shit. Women don't make as good leaders as men. Yeah, there, I said it. It's true. Not all women. Most women, probably. There might be a few women who would make good leaders. There are some good women leaders out there. Who is it? Like Margaret Thatcher, and then there's the leader of Italy. I think she's doing a relatively good job. But then there's also the ones who don't do a very good job, like Angela Merkel, and Hillary Clinton probably would have done a pretty piss poor job, in my opinion. I mean, she would have been just full on authoritarian. But yeah, just because she's a woman, dude, doesn't mean she's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, or that she's going to be the biggest benefit to the state of Virginia since George fucking Washington. Not in the very least.
These two men.
It's annoying when they keep going.
Focus on those two ladies.
Going identity politics,
man.
Man.
They're working hard, trying to earn the vote, and Abigail Spanberger, I believe, has done.
Well, you got to vote for her because she's going to be the first Virginia woman to be leading the state. Like, dude, like, yeah, because that worked so well for Hillary Clinton. That worked so well for Kamala Harris. You know, like, you'd think they would have gotten the hint by now. So let me see. Let me find this. So there's another post with regard to Jay Jones. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm not. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. All right. So RNC Research. You can try and tweet through this all you want, but everyone now knows what a vile person you are. Drop out. And I don't think this dude's gonna win regardless. I mean, just his name has just been all over the news with regard to this. This guy, he's the one that had the text messages that he released, or he was texting a friend and was talking about how he had a dream like where his political rival was murdered and his children were there to witness it, and like that would be better for them because then they wouldn't have like a Nazi for a father. Like, really fucked up text. And whoever he was texting it to, they leaked it, and the whole country got to see it. So anyway, here, let's see what she says about this.
NBC News confirms in 2022, Jones sent text to GOP delegate Kerry Coyner expressing his displeasure with then House Speaker Todd Gilbert. Jones writing, if he had 2 bullets for 3 people and one of those people was the speaker, Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Coyner also says Jones later called her and suggested he wished Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert would reconsider his stance.
Unbelievably fucked up, dude. This dude is a vile piece of shit. So this is him right here. This is his profile, Jay Jones. While Trump and his allies play games with Virginia's livelihoods, Jason Miyares of Virginia refuses to stand up to him. As AG, I'll take action to stop any illegal firings because our federal workers deserve better than to be pawns in Trump's political games. So, dude, check out his profile. He is getting fucking annihilated. Absolutely annihilated with every post that he's making. So that's a pin one. I mean, look at this. All right, so if you're not familiar with the concept of ratioing, that means that you get a lot more comments than you get likes. That 99% of the time, if you post something and you have, let's say, 441 likes, but you got 5,000 comments, that means that the masses at large, that 99% of people do not agree with what you're saying. And I think, most people are on social media at this point. It takes a lot less effort to just click the like button than it does to actually type out a comment. So people are going out of their way. They're actually using their own personal time to actually type out their displeasure as to what your talking point is in the post that you made. So ratioing is really bad, especially when it comes to politicians. Go over to Chuck Schumer's profile. He's getting ratioed like crazy because he shut down the government. And the same with Hakeem Jeffries. I've shown that multiple times on this show, Monday through Friday, that they're both just getting ratioed into oblivion. That's why I think that Democrats, this whole shutdown thing is really backfiring on them because the leaders of this shutdown are getting ruthlessly ratioed. You think that the Democrats, because typically, at least with the presidential election, they typically outnumber us when it comes to voting for the president. So you think that there would be plenty of Democrats going over there, giving tons of likes to Hakeem Jeffries, to Chuck Schumer, or even here to Jay Jones. How come there's not a whole bunch of Democrats clicking the like button, showing their support? It's because they aren't supporting him, especially not Jay Jones. Like, look at this, 187 likes, 2,000 comments. Like, that's like a ratio of what, like 10-1. That's an insane ratio. Absolutely crazy. So, and it's one after the next after the next. This one's 261, 3,600 comments, 321 likes, 3,000 comments, like ratio 10-1. And this one too, almost 10-1, 216 hearts and 1,800 comments, 209 likes, 2,400 comments. He's getting ratioed unbelievably. 329 to 3,300 over and over again. It's a 10-1 ratio between the comments and the likes. Just unbelievable. 204, 3,600, 176 likes, 1,300 comments. I mean, you get the idea. It's one after the next after the next. I mean, it just doesn't stop. And it's like literally 10-1 every time. For every one person who clicks the like button, he's getting 10 people commenting at him. And believe me, there ain't comments that he's going to enjoy reading, I'm sure. So anyway, here, I'll go up to the most recent one, and then we'll just have a look and see with what some of these people are saying to him. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're all a bunch of Democrats that are voicing their support. Although, usually, if you support what somebody is saying, especially on X, if you support what they're saying, you usually like it first, and then you drop a comment. It's quite common to do both. You can leave a comment and like something also. I mean, that tends to be how social media works. So, all right, so where's the most recent one we got? So I don't want to do the pinned comment because that was over a week ago. So this one, fired up after launching today's canvass with Virginia AFL-CIO members. Union workers are the backbone of our economy, and as Attorney General, I'll always have their backs. Doesn't sound like something that he posted personally, but anyway. So this is a little bit of what the fine people of Virginia or the fine American people are saying. So, dear Virginia, protect your children. This one wants men in your daughter's bathroom and volleyball game. This one wants your daughter dead if you run against them. Yeah, he actually does. Mark Safe from J. Psycho Jones. Vote blue or Jay will use a bullet or two. We should just kill children until we get what we want. Yeah, that's basically what he's saying. Normal people and Democrats. So, you all support political assassinations? 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head, and that's his opponent, apparently, is this Gilbert individual. I mean, these people are fucking psychos. Yeah, okay, so here's one. These are the texts that they were referring to. So, the gray is Jay Jones, and the blue is whoever he's talking to. Yeah, so They say nice things about everyone, LOL. And then Jay Jones says, if those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. And then they replied saying, Jay Jones? And then he says, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. So, yeah, so he's saying that he would rather kill his political opponent than killing Hitler himself and Pol Pot. He would rather kill his political opponent than 2, absolute atrocious human beings that have ever lived in human civilization. He would rather kill his political rival over them, over fucking Hitler. Are you kidding? Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. And then they said, Jay, please stop. And then he replies with LOL. This motherfucker. And there's some other ones here. I'm not going to go through it. If I do, it'll be like the 4th time I've done that. But anyway, so did you explain what would happen if they didn't support you, Jay? Yeah, you would get 2 bullets to the head. I mean, this is how psychopathic Democrats are these days. If you run against them, you literally deserve to be shot in the head. That is exactly verbatim what he's saying. That if you're a Republican and you run against a Democrat, you, the Republican, deserve to be gunned down and killed so the Democrats can win no matter what. This is how insanely psychopathic this party's gotten. Totalitarian. Like, look, if this wasn't what the Second Amendment was written for, I don't know what it was. Because this is psychopathy on an absolute extreme level. And I can only imagine if the Democrats one day were to get a supermajority in Congress, how absolutely nightmarish this country would turn into overnight. And that is not hyperbole at all. I'm talking legit. Things are going to get absolutely just catastrophically horrific. Economically, inflation's going to probably go up 800% probably within a year. It's going to be just, it's going to be the end times, man. It's going to be the end times. And one of the first things they're going to try to do is get rid of the Second Amendment. And like I've said before, and a lot of constitutionalists will say, a lot of conservatives will say, most of them, they'll say that is the hill to die on. That you do not want to live in America with Democrats forcing you to give up your guns, and you do. Because if you do that, oh my God. That is not a country I'm going to live through. Hell no, man. Pry my freaking gun off my fucking dead bullet-riddled fucking hands. Anyway, so, all right, let me go back up because I skipped over a bunch. Where were we? So that's where I was. All right, so I'm going to move on. U.S. Department of Transportation, rapid response. Air traffic controllers are angry at Chuck Schumer, as they should be. Democrats are compromising the safety of our airspace to fight for illegal immigrants. Make it make sense.
But we have controllers who are upset. They're angry at Chuck Schumer. They're doing their job, making sure that our skies are safe and airplanes are moving, all the while Chuck Schumer won't stand up and fight for them to make sure that they get paid. He's instead fighting for illegal migrants. So I think that's frustrating for the controllers. And if a few of them don't show up, it has, again, big impacts. But we have controllers who are upset. They're angry at...
Of course they're upset. And look, kudos to TGI Fridays. They announced yesterday, coincidentally on Friday, that anybody who works in air traffic control and anyone who works for TSA, you can go over to TGI Fridays and they'll give you free dinner. You can get free dinner over at TGI Fridays. I mean, like, they're talking chicken Caesar salad. They're talking, like, I think it was like their like deluxe cheeseburger or something like that. Like, they were giving out like legit meals for free to TSA. They still are. Like, if you work in either of those industries, you can go to TGI Fridays, just show them your ID, and you get to eat for free. So they didn't say if it was only TGI Fridays in the airports. It just said go to TGI Fridays. So it's probably in any location, just as their show of appreciation. All right, so this is the GOP. Just a reminder, we're heading into day 11. We're not at day 11 technically. It's been 10 days, 23 hours, 17 minutes, 33 seconds. So anyway, from the White House, President Donald J. Trump continues to demonstrate excellent overall health. And that's from Captain Sean P. Barbabella, DO, physician to the president. And the letter, I know it's small, but I'll try to read it. And this is addressed to Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary. And the body of the letter reads, President Donald J. Trump successfully completed a scheduled follow-up evaluation today at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The visit was part of his ongoing health maintenance plan and included advanced imaging, laboratory testing, and preventative health assessments conducted by a multidisciplinary team of specialists. These evaluations were performed in coordination with leading academic and medical consultants to ensure optimal cardiovascular health and continued wellness. Comprehensive laboratory studies performed in conjunction with the visit were exceptional, including stable metabolic, hematologic, and cardiac parameters. In preparation for upcoming international travel, President Trump also received preventative health screenings and immunizations, including annual influenza and updated COVID-19 booster vaccinations. Trump's getting COVID boosters. President Trump continues to demonstrate excellent overall health. His cardiac age, A validated measure of cardiovascular vitality via ECG was found to be approximately 14 years younger than his chronological age. He continues to maintain a demanding daily schedule without restriction. And in summary, President Donald J. Trump remains in exceptional health, exhibiting strong cardiovascular, pulmonary, neurological, and physical performance. Wouldn't that be nice if we got that? I mean, look, the letter wouldn't read the same for Joe Biden, but wouldn't that be nice if they actually released his health evaluation like President Trump does? Probably because it would look absolutely atrocious. Of course it would have. It was Joe Biden, for crying out loud. Joe Biden is not here. Like, he's physically here, but the lights are on, but nobody's home. But yeah, anyway, I think that, in part probably comes with the fact that President Trump has never drank a drop of alcohol in his entire life. I'm sure most people who never touch alcohol a day in their life, I bet they probably do have pretty strong heart health. So anyway, DOD rapid response from Donald J. Trump's Truth Social account. Chuck Schumer recently said every day gets better during their radical left shutdown. I disagree. If nothing is done because of leader, quote unquote leader, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, our brave troops will miss the paychecks they are rightfully due on October 15th. That is why I'm using my authority as Commander-in-Chief to direct our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to use all available funds to get our troops paid on October 15th. We have identified funds to do this, and Secretary Hegseth will use them to pay our troops. I will not allow the Democrats to hold our military and the entire security of our nation hostage with their dangerous government shutdown. The radical left Democrats should open the government, and then we can work together to address healthcare and many other things that they want to destroy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Which is so funny. He's like, then we can work together to address other things that they want to destroy. I just think that's funny. It's like, dude, like, why would you even waste your time if they want to destroy it, which they clearly do? I mean, they absolutely just want to railroad our freaking country into oblivion. And that way they could build their nightmare dystopia, or what they would call a utopia, on the ashes of what once was the greatest country humankind has ever known. I don't know. The movie Elysium comes to mind. If you ever seen that, that's the future that Hollywood, the Democrats, the left-wing radicals, that's what they envision for all of us. While they get to live up in their ivory tower up in space. Anyway, so this is from a user named Leo, or Tigrozy R. And I just saw this in a comment on a post that I read earlier. And this is with regard to reparations. Matter of fact, here, let me get the original. So it's from the Washington Examiner. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill into law on Friday, launching a process for California to administer reparations for descendants of slaves, even though there weren't any slaves in California, at least not African-American slaves. There might have been Chinese slaves. Are those the people that he's going to pay? Are you going to pay a bunch of Chinese Americans reparations, Gavin Newsom? I would like to think probably not, or not like to think. I assume not. But anyway, so this is what he posted. Here, let me go back so I can. It's not too big, but he said this was already done 150 years ago. Abraham Lincoln paid reparations through the Freedmen's Bureau in 1865. It gave all free black men 40 acres and a mule, plus food and clothing and farm tools over a 7-year period until 1872, and which was at the time the program was ended by Democrats. Look it up. Congressional Democrats are ignorant of this piece of history. Now you know. So there you go. Yeah, if you look up Freedmen's Bureau, 1865, it's probably on Wikipedia. Even though Wikipedia is left-wing, I'm sure that they probably have something on Wikipedia with regard to this. But yeah, and I fully believe it. I'm sure in 1872 the program was ended because of Democrats. I mean, Democrats lost the Civil War, and of course they threw, beyond a giant temper tantrum over it, because they formed the Ku Klux Klan as a result, which by the 1920s was numbering over 3 million people around the country. So that's Democrats for you. Some things just never change. They only just get better at hiding when it comes to certain things. So, all right, so let me get back to where I was. Didn't exactly mean to, click out of that, but no biggie. All right, here we go. So moving on to the next thing from the Washington Examiner, just a coincidence, it's a different article. The Constitution makes very clear that the federal government has every right to come in and enforce federal immigration law in Chicago, no matter how much J.B. Pritzker's constituents don't like it. And at Con Carroll, let's see, commentary editor for D.C. Examiner, Washington Examiner, he breaks down the constitutional clash over immigration enforcement in Illinois. So this is the article, which, do they paywall? I always forget if the Washington Examiner paywalls or not. No, the video doesn't have to do with it. Oh, well, where is it? Watch the debrief show. I don't want to watch the debrief show. I want to read your freaking article, dude. Yeah, they're linking me to the debrief. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in this list, perhaps. All right. Well, that's weird. Anyway, I guess I'll just. Oh wait, hold on. Let's see. Flag burning. If Trump has deported as many illegals as he promised. Wait, who was it again? Let me just double check. Con Carroll. Chris Irvine. Oh, here we go. Here we go. No, that's not going to be it. That's
Donald.
That doesn't have to do with what he was saying with regard to Chicago. Enforce immigration. So where's that? Hold on. Let me see if I can just find it. Left-wing violence. David Mark. Trump has deported as many illegals as he'd promised. Trump's political strategy with flag burning. No, it's not on the list, dude. What the fuck? All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to move on past that unless they've got it linked in the comments, which I doubt, because they've got the link. Yeah, see, there are no comments for this one. All right, whatever. Oh, wait. All right, hold on.
So
here we go. All right, never mind. I was looking for an article.
Now you have Arizona versus.
I saw a clip. I just thought there was going to be an article associated with it.
Arizona passed a law.
Created
a number of criminalized a number of activities, including being in the country illegally, that then state law enforcement could enforce. So even though it's a federal statute that makes someone illegally present in the country, the Arizona law said state law enforcement now is allowed to arrest you and imprison you if you are here in the country illegally. The Obama administration came in and sued, said that this was in stepping on the federal grounds of enforcement. The Obama administration won. The Supreme Court said immigration law is a federal matter, not a state matter. And so it was state law preemption, is that the federal law preempted the state law on this matter.
Well, there you go.
But now, of course, it's flipped. Now you have Chicago in its sanctuary city status saying, look, Pritzker saying, look, we don't want federal government to come in and enforce immigration law.
Well, too fucking bad.
Chicago.
Then try to secede from the union, then,
the
asshole.
Constitution works. The Constitution makes very clear that the federal government has every right to come in and enforce federal immigration law in Chicago, no matter how much J.B. Pritzker's constituents don't like.
Yes, they do, because they're protecting non-citizens. They're protecting people who have no right to be here, people who are not American citizens. And the federal government has laws on the books, and the laws say that if you're in the country illegally, you're not allowed to be here. And you can't be protected by the states because we have federal law. So whatever's not on the federal books, then the 10th Amendment may apply to the states. But we've already got immigration laws on the books on the federal level. So I don't know. Illinois could try to secede from the union. I know that Democrats keep telling Republicans and conservatives, the red states, well, then you should just leave the country and national divorce. You should just do that if you don't like the way that we're trying to do things. No, well, no, it sounds like it's going to be, I don't know, perhaps a civil war all over again, where it was the Democrats, not the Republicans. It was the Democrats who ended up seceding from the union. Anyway, from New York Post, Trump set to fly to Israel to mark historic peace deal as he prepares public for grim hostage release. Yeah, it's gonna, I don't know what they're going to televise, if anything. I'm assuming that it's going to probably be televised, but I'm not sure what kind of shape they're going to be in. Like, I made the point the other day, and God, I pray that they don't do anything like this, but I mean, like, what if every single hostage comes back deceased? What if Hamas ends up killing all of them before they do the exchange? It would be insane for them to even think about doing that. However, they didn't specify that all the hostages who were still living must be returned in that exact same state, at least not what I read. It just said in the provisions that they just have to release all of the hostages, dead and alive. They want the dead hostages and the living hostages. But I don't know if they've really, if Israel or if the United States has been in any talks with Hamas with regard to any proof of life over the last couple of years. I know some of the hostages that were released said that at the time they were released, they were able to give names to the Israeli government, letting them know who was still with them. So they had proof of life at that time. But a lot of these hostages were released months ago. So it's really hard to say exactly how many are still alive. They're predicting that there could be as many as 20 who are still alive. But I just hope that Hamas doesn't do anything fucked up like that. But I mean, I don't know, man. We're going to have to wait and see. Trump said that they might be released on either on Monday or at the very latest on Tuesday. That was the latest that I heard with regard to Trump. And I believe he said that on, I want to say it was on Thursday. It was on Thursday when he made that announcement. So Trump is set to fly to Israel to mark historic peace deal while preparing public for grim hostage release. President Trump's historic trip to Israel and Egypt will feature a celebration of the peace deal his administration orchestrated and grim reminders of the toll of captivity on Israeli hostages. And Trump heads to the Holy Land Sunday night, tomorrow night, and was expected to join Israelis marking the end of the bloody 2-year conflict and huddle with Arab leaders who helped press Hamas to accept the terms of the ceasefire deal. Quote, hopefully you're going to have great success, or I call it everlasting success, Trump said in the Oval Office Friday evening while revealing new details of the trip as he talked up the potential for broader peace in the Middle East. But Trump also appeared to try to prepare the public for the condition of the hostages and gave an update on the number of the dead. They're getting them now. They're in some pretty rough places under earth. They're in some pretty rough places where only a few people know where they are in some cases, Trump said. So they're getting them. They're also getting the bodies, approximately 28 bodies of deceased hostages, and some of those bodies are being unearthed right now as we speak. It's a tragedy. The White House was still scrambling Saturday to put together the final details of Trump's journey. I don't think that's a good idea that Trump goes, man. It's kind of frustrating, how much courage he really has sometimes, you know what I mean? So anyway, the situation is still very fluid. A senior White House official told the Post with final decisions yet to be made on who would accompany the president and what sort of diplomacy he would conduct. Trump said he would head to Cairo, where Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is organizing a summit on Gaza, while the Egyptians said the commander-in-chief would attend a formal signing of the agreement to end the war. The deadline for the release of hostages was set for noon on Monday. A source told CNN hostages could be returned overnight Sunday, potentially achieving their liberation before Trump's arrival. Trump and his advisors played a key role in pressing the parties to accept the deal, which comes after more than 2 years of bloody conflict after, we get that, October 7th, 2023, 1,200 were dead or killed by Hamas. The president predicted the ceasefire would hold and said he'll chair a new board of peace overseeing a transitional government in Gaza. He's going to chair the board of peace? I didn't hear that until just now. All right. So anyway, there's a little bit more of the article. I'll just leave it there. If you want to check it out, it'll be in the description. I'll just move on to the next thing. Newsmax. The Trump administration is prepared to cut at least 4,100 additional federal employees during the ongoing partial government shutdown, according to court documents. And again, it comes from Newsmax. The Trump administration is preparing to cut at least 4,100 additional federal employees during an ongoing partial government shutdown, according to court documents filed Friday in California. The filing came in response to a lawsuit by federal employee unions seeking to halt the shutdown-related layoffs. The projected reductions are in addition to earlier agency personnel cuts or furloughs unrelated to the shutdown. The filing came in response to a lawsuit by federal employee unions seeking to halt the shutdown-related layoffs. The suit filed in U.S. District Court for Northern District of California asked Judge Susan Ilston, a Clinton appointee, to block what the plaintiffs called unlawful reductions in force that the administration announced earlier in the day. In industry jargon, they are called RIFs. The filing provided the first concrete breakdown of expected cuts across several major agencies, including the Departments of Commerce, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, and Treasury. The firings are part of a broader strategy to pressure Senate Democrats who have so far blocked a House-passed stopgap spending bill to fund the government through November 21st. So that's the date. I thought it was November 30th, but I was almost right, November 21st. President Trump has warned that failure to end the shutdown will trigger permanent cuts if the impasse continues. In a sworn declaration, Stephen Billy, a senior advisor at the Office of Management and Budget, estimated the following number of employees received notices on Friday. Commerce Department, 315 jobs. Education Department, 466 jobs. Energy, 187. The EPA, between 20 and 30. HHS is between 1,100 and 1,200. Housing and Urban Development, 442. Department of Homeland Security, 176. And Treasury, almost 1,500. Damn. So that totals between 4,152 and 4,262 positions potentially affected. And the article goes on from there. Again, it's below if you want to check it out. The U.S. Education Department to lay off employees. We just went over the numbers, but I'll link it if you want to check it out. It's on Reuters. But what was the number again for education? 466. That's what they're looking at. Let me just see if it mentions any locations. Is it just in D.C.? Oh, never mind. All right. Fuck you then, Reuters. You know what? I'm not going to link your shit because you just did me dirty. All right. So let me go ahead and just get rid of that. All right. RNC research. You can try and tweet. Okay, we already did that one, Jay Jones. And I think so this is the last thing I got. So Republican Study Committee, and this is regarding the Democrats' shutdown just gave our enemies the green light. And this is in regards to, looks like China and Iran. All right. China is preparing for war. Iran is arming proxies across the Middle East. Russia continues its assault on Ukraine. And what are the Democrats doing? They're forcing our military to stand down. Fancy that. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has orchestrated a government shutdown that is gutting American military readiness when danger is at our doorstep. He's holding our national security hostage over reckless demands to hand out free health care to illegal aliens and explode our national debt, at least by $1.5 trillion. That's how much they're looking to get. This is not just a budgetary dispute. This is sabotage. Since day one of the shutdown, military men and women in critical training have been pulled from their assignments mid-mission. Service members on temporary duty orders are being yanked back to their home units before completing their tasks, wasting taxpayer dollars and sacrificing readiness. Operations are disrupted. Equipment sits unrepaired. This isn't just wasteful, it's dangerous. While China and Russia forge ahead, the left has our military standing down. But the damage doesn't end there. On October 15th, 1.32 million service members will go without pay, including over 122,000 active duty service members in Virginia. 18,000 military children in Colorado will watch their parents go unpaid. The 42nd Infantry Division soldiers from New York, currently deployed to the Middle East, will serve without pay. These are real examples of the human cost of the left's political games. We've heard Democrats say they are concerned about military families, but they are voting against a clean, nonpartisan, continuing resolution that would get them paid. This is yet again empty rhetoric from those who claim to support our troops but refuse to pay them. The price for funding our military? Free healthcare for illegal aliens and hundreds of billions in reckless spending. We've both served in combat and seen firsthand what happens when politicians interfere with military readiness. The consequences are severe, and our service members cannot afford this distraction. They must get back to work as scheduled, especially in this economy, man. Everybody's maxed out on credit. Not everybody, but, like credit card debt's the highest it's ever been. Loans in general are at the highest levels they've ever been. The highest amount of auto loans are the highest they've ever been. Like everything is just, seems like it's just practically maxed out at this point. I mean, even Klarna, Afterpay, those ridiculous buy now, pay later things that you can, buy a freaking Baconator at fucking Wendy's and you can put it on a payment plan. Even those companies are suffering heavy losses. I think Klarna just reported a month or two ago that They had over $100 million in debt, and that was only just weeks after they first started opening up their program. And it's absolutely crazy because everybody's just either they're consuming themselves into financial oblivion or inflation had already done that for them a long time ago. So anyway, let's see. So former Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin warned that a shutdown would have a dire impact and profound impact on the lives of our troops and civilians who work and sacrifice to defend this country every day. Democrats agreed just a few years ago. What changed? The answer is as cynical as it is infuriating. Infuriating. Political games matter more to Senate Democrats than military families. Republicans in the House passed a clean continuing resolution, a simple funding bill to keep the government open, and let's be clear, this clean continuing resolution extends government funding at Biden-era levels, which is the same funding levels Democrats voted for a whopping 13 times. The offer is the same. What's changed, however, is the man in the White House and the Democrats' blind hatred of that man. This is Secretary Hegseth's moment to refocus the Pentagon on war-fighting readiness, yet Democrats are actively sabotaging that mission and enabling the most radical segments of their party that have long wanted to slash military spending. Our adversaries are watching, China is watching, Iran is watching, and they see in America hamstrung not by external threats, but by Senate Democrats, just five of them, who fear their radical base more than they fear America's adversaries. Both of us have served. We understand what it means when training stops, when readiness erodes, when troops can't do their jobs, and when service members can't feed their children. We know the stakes when America's military is not prepared. Military families deserve better. Our troops deserve better. America deserves better. Senate Democrats must stop playing political games and reopen the government immediately. Pass the clean continuing resolution that the House sent you. Pay our troops, let them train, let them prepare, let them do what they volunteer to do, which is to defend this nation. Every day this shutdown continues is a day our enemies grow bolder and our military grows weaker. That is unacceptable, and the responsibility lies squarely with Senate Democrats who refuse to fund the very people who keep them safe. Republicans stand ready to reopen the government at a moment's notice, but we will never allow our servicemen and women to be turned into political pawns used by the Democrats to achieve their dreams of giving free health care to illegal aliens and exploding the national debt. It's time to choose politics or patriots, illegal aliens or military children. The answer should be simple. Fund our military, reopen the government, stop the games. And that's from Rep. Brian Mast, who represents Florida's 21st Congressional District and is a U.S. Army veteran and serves as the chairman of the House Foreign GOP. And then also Rep. Pfluger represents Texas 11th Congressional District. He's a 20-year Air Force fighter pilot, now serving in the Air Force Reserve, and serves as the chairman of the Republican Study Committee. You can read the full op-ed, which I will link in the description below. And I believe that, let me go back. I believe that's all I got. Yep, that's going to be it. This is for another video. I'm going to do a video night, which I'm probably going to do after this. That'll either release later on tonight, probably early in the morning, probably like 1, 2 in the morning, or I could possibly just save it for Sunday morning. But yeah, I'm going to go through a whole bunch of videos. Most of them are political, but a lot of them are not. A lot of them are funny. A lot of them are serious. It's just a whole bunch of different videos. I did that a couple of weekends back where I did a video night over the weekend, and I watched a whole bunch of videos that were on the internet that I compiled together, and actually turned out pretty good last time. So I think I'm going to go through and do that after this video is over. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really would mean a lot if you subscribe, and I'll be dropping a new episode of The Swamp every Monday through Friday, guaranteed. Every once in a while, I'll do it over the weekend too, but it's always going to be Monday through Friday in the evening hours. And I'll be covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, agencies, and everything else. I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment over there too if you'd like. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and God bless America.